Hi everyone, I'm Becky,
And I'm Sarah.
and we're doing Bickering Book Reviews. Today we are talking about spoiler alert,
Spoiler alert!
by Olivia Dade, which I got off of NetGalley, but Sarah got off of Edelweiss. Um, and so this book is about April, who is in her mid-30s, and she is plus sized, and she is a geologist. And she tries to be very professional and like just present this specific image to the world, but at night she is like really big on the fan fiction sites for a very popular TV show, Gates of God, correct? Which is basically Game of Thrones. And so she writes these like very steamy fanfics about one of the characters, and her best friend is another person writing fanfic, and they communicate back and forth. Well, one night she gets kind of frustrated with life, and she posts a picture on Twitter of herself in cosplay. And people on Twitter are not very kind to plus size women. And so the star of the show is like, I think she looks great. And then he's like, you know what? I'd take her out on a date. And so she's like, oh, I don't know. But then she decides to go out with him. And their first interaction, he's kind of boring because he's like, basically she keeps saying he's like a golden retriever, pretty but not too bright. And then they find out, he figures out that he is actually also writing fan fiction because he doesn't like how the writers have switched off from the books, and that he is the best friend on the fan fiction writing. So he drops his dumb pretty boy routine, and there's a romance.
I love this book. I just want to fangirl for it. Like, I love the fact that April is a geologist. I love that
Yeah.
she's like getting in there, getting dirty, and like she's like so smart, but she's doing this job that wouldn't necessarily always A, be assigned to a woman, or B, be assigned to a plus size woman. Like, that was awesome. I loved the romance between Marcus and April. Like, it was just adorable. I loved Marcus. Like, it was just so sweet. And like, the thing is, she definitely like grew as a character. But it wasn't those traditional tropey books where like once she starts losing weight, then she starts having a better life. No, once she decides to start being herself, being open and honest and true to who she is, and the fact that she writes fan fiction, steamy fan fiction at that, once she's like open about that, then her life kind of starts kind of falling into place, and she's finding her people, she's finding friends, she's finding a good place in her job, she's finding kind of a guy that loves her, she's finding friends from her online community. Like, oh, I loved this book so much.
Well, and I think that Olivia Dade did something different with this because April's weight wasn't the roadblock. Like, it was her trust issues that were the roadblock. I liked what she
Well,
did
it
with
was his
Marcus.
trust issues too. Like, and the weight did come up in a real way, and it was dealt with in a real way, and like but it wasn't about that. Like, his position, like, as an actor, he's going to be working out and eating properly to like be washboard abs man. But like, just because he's living that way doesn't necessarily mean that she has to live that way. And like, it comes up, but it's not the focus of the novel. And like, the fact that they both have issues with their parents, um the weight thing comes up, but it's not the focus of the novel. The focus is, you need to treat me the way I deserve to be treated, and I don't have to stand for it. And I also think that it was really interesting that they're talking about adults who are dealing with um like learning disabilities. So you've got Marcus, who has dyslexia, and so we're seeing what it looks like if you have dyslexia and are an adult. And you've got Alex, Marcus's best friend and other actor on the TV show, who has ADHD. And like, so they're adults that are still experiencing kind of these issues. And I feel like I don't ever see that. Like, I see it in middle grade and young adult books where like they're dealing with those issues, but I very rarely see them as adults. So that was awesome.
I really liked what she did with Marcus and the dyslexia because, yeah, you don't see that. But there's also like this idea that people don't seem to understand that you don't just outgrow dyslexia. You can learn to cope with it, and you can learn how to read around it. And I thought that they did a really good job. And it was what was interesting was because my brother, who's 33 years old, he's dyslexic, and he's still dyslexic, even though he has a master's degree. You always have it. Um, it was obvious that when you're reading it, like what Marcus's coping techniques were, that as a child he was never taught the right coping techniques, which is why he needed the audiobooks and why he still couldn't really read as well. He could read, he just had read slower because his parents were just like, I'm not dealing with this.
Oh, the more you talk about it, the more I like remember what I love about this book. Like, I love this book. I love the characters. I love the fact that she's got her own triggers, he's got his own triggers, and like they're going to a museum together, and his parents used to rush him along because he didn't like museums because he couldn't read the plaques as fast as everybody else. But like, kind of knowing that, respecting that, and giving him the space to kind of read the plaques at his own kind of leisure, like that kind of stuff. Like, she got the details right, I think, is what it comes down to for me.
Yeah, and I think it was believable, these two people connecting. I liked in between each chapter there was either fan fiction or there were excerpts from scripts of movies he was in, and the scripts were
Or
hilarious.
their
They were
conversations.
so bad.
Yeah, they were so bad. The scripts were bad, but I liked the conversations too that they had as their fanfic alter egos. I really can't wait for more by this author. I can't wait. And honestly, I feel that she set it up that Alex, and I believe her name's Lauren, but his handler, I believe she set it up that there could be a book for them, and I want to see it because he seems like hilarious. Like, he starts getting into the fanfic writing after he finds out about Marcus being in the fanfic writing, and so his is all about like his character doing very naughty things, and it's just funny. So I
Well,
want to see more.
there was something else I was going to say and I lost it. There was.
I just love this book. I loved this book. This did what One to Watch didn't. And then
See,
they're not even like the same kind of book.
I liked One to Watch, but no, I know what I was going to say. So it reminded me very much of what Well Played, which we reviewed a while ago, was trying to be. And it's really like when you break it down point per point, it's very similar, but this was just done so much better.
See, and this to me felt like a grown up version of Fangirl, only better.
Maybe because I'm thinking like the whole like he knew she thought she was talking to somebody else, and the
Yeah.
not being completely honest, and like both were like these plus size characters that had trust issues and other issues. So it's like it's kind of the same story, but it was just done so much better.
This is just really good. You should read it. Like, read it. I love it.
So we should rate it. Our
Okay.
rating system starts with 5 unicorns. We go down to 2 unicorns. If you don't like it, it's a horse.
I don't care if it is like fluffiest fluff, if it's cotton candy. Don't care. I'm giving it a 5 because I love this book. I love what it did for the plus size characters. And I loved that it wasn't about finding happiness or eating right. Like, it was about accepting it wasn't even about accepting who you are. It was, you are who you are. And, being honest with who you are.
I gave it a 4. I don't know why I'm not quite at a 5. I give out very few 5s.
I don't care. I'm sticking by it. Like I said, I don't care that it may be cotton candy.
No,
I
but I'm
loved it.
okay with the cotton candy. Like, I enjoyed it. I liked the characters. I liked him. I liked there was a vulnerability with Marcus. Like, he was this big action star, but he also had a vulnerability. And to be quite honest, like, I think because of everything, like with dealing when I was a kid dealing with my brother's dyslexia, I was more drawn to Marcus than I was even to April.
Love them both.
So that is where we are on spoiler alert. I almost called it something else. And we'll see you around.